Well, after 10 months, I have finally finished the William Hartnell era. And to be honest, I got a little bit more emotional than I thought I would finishing it. Now, I've seen The 10th Planet like 3 times. It's one of my favorite stories in all of Doctor Who. But seeing it now after realizing that's it, I've seen every single William Hartnell episode, even the ones that don't exist anymore. That's the end of him. It's it's kind of sad, you know. Um, because he's a great doctor, and I think he's oddly underrated considering the fact that he's the first doctor. He's nobody's favorite doctor, at least nobody I know. I wouldn't say he's my favorite doctor. That's still either 2, 3, 11, or 12. They're kind of tied, but I still like one a lot, and Hartnell I think does a really good performance here, even though he is absent for most of it, considering he was sick. Um, it's probably why he had to leave the show. And I don't know, he gave a good performance in the scenes he was in, and I will miss his doctor as much as I do love Patrick Troughton. But having the idea to not simply recast the doctor, but to have him change his face into another body that looks and acts very different from him, it's a very unique decision, and I think any other show would have been a disaster. And if the writing if the writing wasn't as good as it would have been a disaster. And if Patrick Troughton wasn't good, he would have been a disaster too. So it's a miracle this show even lasted full seasons, longer than 4 seasons, let alone 40. But it's it's insane. I've like no show has ever done this, and they probably will never do it. But even besides the fact that Hartnell leaves the show, and speaking of that, his last few scenes are very sad and kind of haunting, but a little bit optimistic when he's saying, "Oh, it's not over. It's far from being all over." How right he was, because the show's still going strong almost 60 years later. So, I don't know. Like I said, it's sad, but it's hopeful. Which is how I feel almost every time the Doctor regenerates. I'm sad to see him leave, but I know that the next guy, in a certain amount of time, I'm gonna love him too. So it's always very bittersweet. But besides the fact that this is his last episode on the show, it's also notable for being the first episode where we meet the Cybermen. And these are my favorite version of the Cybermen because they look very rugged, very like a prototype for a later design, and they look probably the most human out of every Cyberman. I like their creepy sing-songy voice. We will not. We will let go. We will kill all you humans. Like that voice they do. It's it's unique, and I kind of wish they kept it because it makes it. They make them seem childish in a way, even though they have a lack of emotion. Yeah, I cannot tell you how cool it was when Moffat brought back the original Cybermen for the Doctor Falls episodes he did. That's such a geeky thing to be excited about, but I was excited about it nonetheless. But the Cybermen themselves are such a popular villain. Besides the Daleks, they are probably the most recognizable Doctor Who villain, and there's a very strong reason for it because they were human and they turn into these machines. It's it's been done before, but I don't know. I think just the whole concept is seems very fresh and interesting, and you could do a lot with the Cybermen. I feel like often stories don't do as much with them as they could, but I don't know. This being a base on the Seed story, with these stories, you either like the supporting cast or you don't. I feel like a lot of times the supporting cast is undeveloped, but in this one they are. I really like the captain. I like the other people. Um, I like how it's a very diverse people, for the 60s because it's an international station, which is kind of cool. It reminds me of the 60s Star Trek, which I think also started in 1966, so 66 was a good year for sci-fi television. I like the set design too because, you know, it's most of it is set in the Antarctica station, but it looks futuristic too, even though the story's set in the future of 1986. Oh my god, so far advanced. Um, but I don't know. It looks really cool and high tech. You don't even realize that most of it's made of cardboard. And I like the outside snowy scenes too. The the very like eerie and creepy because you don't really know what's out there. So when we see the Cybermen for the first time, it actually comes off as creepy. Um, so yeah, all in all, a classic story. Um, I bet the people who wrote the story have so much money in royalties because I think every time the Cybermen appear, they get a little check. So yeah, their kids are probably doing good by now. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the 10th Planet down in the comments below, and what you thought of William Hartnell's time as the Doctor. He will always be remembered. Um, and yeah, one day he does come back. Yes, he does come back. But until then, this is goodbye. So, William Hartnell, thanks for making 3 great seasons of television. And thank you, Patrick Troughton, for making another 3 great seasons of television. So I'll see you guys next time. We'll be talking about the power of the Daleks, which is Troughton's first story. And sometime soon, I'm not sure when, but I'm going to do a ranking of every single William Hartnell episode. And since he has 29 of them, could take a while, but, you know, I don't know when I'm going to do that video, but it's definitely on the books. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, peace. Thanks for watching, Sunny.